내가 받은 사랑을 누구에게 전하고 싶으세요? 태신자 작정카드를 작성해 주시면 모든 교회가 함께 기도합니다. 자, 지금부터 태신자 작정카드 쓰는 법을 알려드릴게요. 화면을 보시며 함께 적어보겠습니다. 펜이 필요하시면 손을 들어주세요. 준비되셨나요? 시작합니다. 첫째, 오른편에 작성자의 이름과 연락처를 적습니다. 자신의 이름을 적어야 해요. 이름을 안 적고 내시면 아무도 누구 것인지 모르겠죠? 자의 주소를 적습니다. 주소를 적어주시면 교회에서 초청장을 보내요. 모르신다고요? 그러면 그냥 넘어가셔도 됩니다. 아직 다 못 적으셨다고요? 지금부터 보여드리는 아름다운 이야기를 들으시면서 적어주시기 바랍니다.
A number of years ago, in a Baptist church in Crystal Palace in southern London, the Sunday morning service was closing and a stranger stood up at the back, raised his hand, he said, "Excuse me, Pastor, can I share a little testimony?" The pastor looked at his watch, he said, "You've got 3 minutes." And this man proceeded. Now this London preacher flew back to the UK and was speaking at the Keswick Convention in the Lake District. And he threw in these 3 testimonies. At the close of his teaching session, 4 elderly pastors came up and said, "We got saved between 25 and 35 years ago, respectively, through that little man on George Street giving us a tract and asking us that question." He then flew the following week to a similar Keswick Convention in the Caribbean, to missionaries. And he shared the testimonies. At the close of his teaching session, 3 missionaries came up and said, we got saved between 15 and 25 years ago, respectively, through that little man's testimony and asking us that same question on George Street in Sydney. Coming back to London, he stopped outside Atlanta, Georgia, to speak at a Naval Chaplains Convention. Six months later, flew to do a convention for 5,000 Indian missionaries in a remote corner of northeastern India. And at the end, the Indian missionary in charge, a humble little man, took him home to his humble little home for a simple meal. And he said, how did you, as a Hindu, come to Christ? He said, one bout of diplomatic service took me to Sydney. And I was doing some last-minute shopping laden with parcels of toys and clothing for my children, walking down George Street. And this courteous little white-haired man stepped out in front of me, offered me a pamphlet, and said, excuse me, sir, are you saved? If you die tonight, are you going to heaven? I do. His name is Mr. Genor, but I don't think he does it anymore. He's too frail and elderly. Margarita did a little count. That's 146,100 people. That simple little nobody except a little group of Baptists in southern Sydney knew about Mr. Genor. But I'll tell you, his name was famous in heaven.